All right. Turn that down. There we go. So we have a question regarding an exercise I've seen you do on live streams recently that I'm trying to do as an extra with quick terribly. Yeah. What's the exercise? What did I do? All right. For those joining the stream, currently still painting this sci-fi angel character inspired by the Warhammer universe. Yeah. If you guys have any questions, any, kind of tips or tricks how I got to this point, let me know. But yeah, recently I did a little bit of an update, because last stream we left off was like right around here. I didn't touch up the weapon or the feet or like the left side. But yeah, we added some, more details and some like more ambient lighting. So, or dynamic lighting, if you will. So yeah, right now just kind of, going about, continuing where we left off. Turn into a character. I need a crash course on the mindset and mentality. Done like 4 character sketches this week and they're all I could do like a quick I guess like lesson of the day for that. And then we'll get straight into the design, or like straight into painting. Let me just find a random object real quick, and then I'll give you like an idea of like, I don't know, how to approach a pot. Get a cool looking pot. Ooh, this is fun. Copy. And then we'll do paste. And then I think I'm missing something in the way. Okay, yeah. There it might be like a little bit. So here's how I would approach it. There's a specific word for it. I don't know. It's like a Japanese word that goes with it. But essentially, it's a foreign language study. And basically, what you're doing is a couple things, right? First, when you're drawing a character, there's a couple things you have to keep in mind. You have to know its theme, setting, and we'll say action. So action meaning like, well, what do they do per se with, like, let's say they're a cowboy. What kind of cowboy, right? What kind of universe are they in? Timeline, right? If we think about it, we branch to timeline. The whole process, like, all this comes mentally, but you think of timeline, locale, stuff like that, right? Theme, we could think about like archetypes, right? Archetypes. We can think about status, right? Are they high class, low class, whatever. And then action is usually like, okay, so their theme is like a cowboy. Their action is they like use sand guns or whatever. So it's usually like weapons, weapon, or twist. It's basically just what makes them different, right? So all that's like, oh, you know, but we're studying this. We're thinking about this, right? That's the first like 5 seconds of the thing when you're drawing a character, right? What are you trying to get out of this? What is there more to this outside of fancy shapes, right? Because we all could do fancy shapes, right? Okay, so once you get to that point, this is step one, right? Once you figure out what this character is, right? It could take you 5 minutes. It could take you like 1 minute. It could take you 5 minutes. Don't think too hard about it. You know, just kind of have an idea before you go in. We'll look at step two. And step two essentially is the study of this particular object, right? So one thing we're going to notice about this object is it's almost, it is primarily circles and squares. As you can see right here, like even this, like these cuts, like I can see myself, these negative spaces are more like square-like, right? Very few triangles. And then we have here, you know, the plant. And so a lot of the times you're just studying everything that's going on. Like this unique shape could be something, right? If we take the silhouette of this entire figure, you know, we could, you know, essentially break it down. While I'm doing this and kind of talking about it, can you go over specifically what part in the process you kind of struggle with? Other than, you know, I'm struggling with this, because then that can help me dial in like what part of the, you know, the steps you're in. Okay, so we have something like this. Now, immediately, you know, we're thinking about that. Then we're thinking about the plant, right? Immediately I'm thinking about like, okay, with all these shapes, what specifically comes to mind in terms of like archetype? And as of like the colors, the way it's placed, the bulbousiness of it, I'm thinking of like a soft tank, or like, you know, like a Baymax character of sort, right? Maybe a turtle, and then we have like plants. We think about the plants, the turtles. So, you know, when we're thinking about all this stuff, we can really understand exactly what we're drawing, and kind of just pull from there, right? Now we can kind of speed up this process, but so, you know, we have that, we have those branches, and so, you know, stuff like this is like we're taking it one step further each and every time of trying to figure out what we're drawing, right? So in this particular case, if we think about like a knight, maybe he's like a big pudgy knight, right? So we have this. He's got like big beard, you know, big belly, some sort. And then maybe, you know, because knights have this, right? If we're thinking about a knight, we can also think about the asymmetry that we have, right? That we can think about right here, right? we can think about right here, how it cuts. What I'm showing is what the thought process beyond the decision making. You're drawing the shape language and how you're utilizing it. Yeah. So it's just like, essentially, it might, from what it sounds like, your pre-planning is what you're struggling with, because if we're not talking about a technical issue, like in terms of like, oh, these characters aren't coming out the way they look because technically, foundationally, like I'm not there yet to get like a desired result in my head. If we're not talking about that, then it might just be a pre-planning part, right? Where you might, in your head, let's say hypothetically, you just thought about the theme. You're like, this is just a knight. And you might literally just draw a generic body type of a person. And you might think, oh, knight. And then, oh, they have like these lines right here. Let me just do these lines. And, you know, maybe, oh, I see like bulbousy. And, you know, he's got like bulbousy stuff. And there's more lines. Like, oh, and let me add a tree to his head. Like, you're being literal, or you're not understanding exactly what you're looking at, right? And so, you know, little nuances to that, right, is, you know, we firmly break down what we're looking at. So maybe we can do this. Right? Because this guy has just like a lot of cuts. And maybe so we're just gonna, you see how like I'm because I took like 5 seconds to just kind of trace over or study or whatnot, I'm implementing specifically what I see, right? And then even if we wanted to get more direct, this could be like a tree knight, like a like alien tree life form takes hold of, you know, their prey, and they basically turn into this almost tree-like knight, right? Or this could be a tree spirit of some sort. Yeah. So, you know, even stuff like this, right? So then now, like, we can add those you know, curves, essentially, right? Can add some of these. But yeah. And then I'm just, for the sake of time, I'm just gonna take these and scatter them all over. Right. Then I can think about this. So now we have this like bulbousy knight controlled by this plant. Bam. And then, I don't know. And then his hands could be like plant tendrily, like. And maybe like here you have an overgrown blade. Like seeps into this like sword. Could be like that. And then, yeah. Then we have like, you know, branches and leaves and stuff. So, you know, something as simple as that. All this because I was knowing I was trying to go into it like a normal design in my random characters, and it just like falls in. It usually just falls into place, and it doesn't work here because then the object. Yeah. So form language, when studying it, is basically just like design studying, right? Like like foundations, it's easy to think about it as studying because you're looking directly at something and you're copying it, right? But with formal language studying or like design studying, you're doing another step where you're turning this into armor or a clothing or a fashion statement, right? So it's like, how do you do that, right? So that's, you know, kind of my approach is you're taking the object and manipulating it to basically follow along like the guidelines of the, you know, character creature like you're trying to make, right? It's not taking the armor and just like slapping some texture on it, because if that's the case you could just paint all this stuff, right? It's taking the design and like actually transforming it into like the object and the object into the subject, right? So yeah, I will save this for later, but you know, that's pretty much it. Okay, what can we do here? Yeah. No, yeah. If you know, sometimes you'll see on Twitter, people do that study and they get a lot of likes. It's a lot of the times they just take an archetype that already exists, as generic as possible, and apply the form language to the design. And if they do it well and they execute it well on top of that, you know, usually it gets a lot of traction. But for me personally, I only do those things to like really just study. I find them a very fun way to like really steady. Thank you for the question, by the way. I'm pretty sure a lot of people kind of found that helpful. Who are you getting mentored by? Oh, I know Natalie. Yeah, she's a great artist. I didn't know she was doing mentorships. You learn something new every day. Wow, they got a lot of people in here. Oh. Hold up, just looking up something real quick. Oh, okay. Well, I'll look at it another time. Gotcha. Nice. I always hear about it. The Concept Art Association. There's always like awards that go on and events that take place with Lightbox. Nice, man. That's good to hear. I think that's a big part about just, I think, any career in general, is that if you don't network like outside of whatever education course or class you take, then it becomes like increasingly harder to like branch, or not branch, to get a job, because a lot of the times, although not a lot of people consider it, but you build up like social skills, and when approaching and like talking business and stuff like that, when it's appropriate, and then you build friends who might have job opportunities, even if it's like small freelance gigs. That's a big tip that I would give, is just like network outside of your education system and build like friends and connections, because that will carry you a long way, especially with like Discord. A lot of friends and what do you call it, mentors have recommended me, and even with my art director, I just talked with him, and did a little chatting on how to get where I want to be, which is like Gearbox, and he gave me advice, and now he's my boss, and it's like awesome. But yeah, just networking as much as you can. So how do you find the right pose for a character design, one that can express their personality and profession in a dynamic way? A lot of that time, a lot of the time, it has to do with your thought process behind the character and what they're doing specifically. So for in this particular character's way, they're not doing the splash art like pose that would give you a like, you know, crazy angle and, you know, dynamic feel and all that stuff. This character right now is all about presence. So what can we do to give them presence that makes them feel more dynamic? It's about their like posing, and well, they're posing, which is like more straight, like chest out, more strong and broad, but also their lighting. You know, lighting can tell you a lot about a character, right? So, you know, a lot of people think, if we branch to the side, a lot of people think that when you're drawing a character, if we say cowboy, we'll just, or actually, you know what? Let's change it to astronaut. Astronaut, right? And then we think about astronaut, who is like, I've never drawn an astronaut outfit before. Let's say astronaut, and I know they have like onesies, and got a big backpack, and they kind of stand like this, or they kind of, in my head, they might be like tinkering with something or whatever, right? Now this particular astronaut doesn't have much of an intent behind his pose, right? But we could always add like a prop or an object to him that gives him. But one thing I noticed is that like sometimes it's just, what is he doing, right? That makes it feel more dynamic and where his profession is, right? If you start doing poses like this where it's like I mean, granted, illustration wise it's like cool and into an extent, astronauts are like floating in space, but if you have like a pose and they're like doing some crazy stuff, they're like maybe upside down, that could be another thing, right? Astronauts floating in space, that's like intent. But it doesn't have to be this crazy, especially when you're doing like concept art. This sells the idea, but it's more of an illustration of like, cool, they have this like cool dynamic pose and this awesome like execution and all that stuff. Whereas here, like, it's not dynamic, but if I change the lighting, it's gonna feel like he's tinkering with something. He has presence, right? So as interesting as this one is, it's not that needed, unless it's for an illustration of some sort. So yeah, usually, you know, it's, what is he doing? What does he have in his hand? What is if he is jumping, it could be like, you know, maybe he's like, whoa. Maybe it's kind of, you know, floating, if you think about it, right? And so, you know, more front facing stuff like that, it's just flow, right? Creating flow. This has more of a stiff view, but if you create like something more similar to this, I would say this is a better pose. This is pushing it. This doesn't communicate to me a lot. It communicates the personality, but it doesn't communicate to me like his design, you know, what is he about, stuff like that, right? This is more of like, I'm showing off or whatever. So yeah, that's kind of like my thought process behind it, is just create an action. Think about an action and then just draw it. It's not, you don't have to crazily overthink it. Let me draw like a big old head. Although this was a fun pose. Yeah. Yeah. The far left one would function more than this one. It's like this one is the best of both worlds. It's dynamic, but not so dynamic that it covers half the design, and not so stiff that it feels kind of boring, right? So yeah, this character in particular is subtle because I'm more I care more about her presence than I do her doing some like crazy pose, which I could do on the side as like a movement study, but in this particular case, I'm just like, you know, it's more just illustrating her at this point. Yeah, no worries. Thank you for the question. Okay, I've actively been avoiding this weapon, so let's go in there and do our best. this. Let's see. Could I do this? Yeah, that's better. Yo, yo, Noah, what's up? Good to see you, man. Oh. What you been up to? Oh, hell yeah, man. Seems like you're really busy right now.
Where's the kitty cat? Is that the kitty cat? That's the kitty cat.
Hmm. I know you're eating udon right now, but what do you specifically prefer, udon or ramen? Hell yeah, good choice, good choice. Yeah. For me, ironically enough, I guess like as a kid, for the longest time, people really glamorized ramen. Um, and so I guess like in my head, like I kid you not, I didn't try ramen until I was like 19, 18, 19, after high school. And people used to like in shows and all that stuff glamorize like ramen, and it's not to say ramen isn't good. Um, but I think the noodle texture quality, I prefer udon over ramen. Um, and I guess I had like the idea of udon when I saw like people talk about ramen, like the noodle kind of consistency or quality. In my head, I was like, ah, dude, ramen's gonna be like the greatest tasting thing in the world. Um, I don't know, just I just when I first tried udon, which I never heard of, I was like, this is way better. Uh, mm, oh, that feels better. Mm, maybe? Question mark? Thinking emoji? activate God rays. Let's shrink that. Actually, zoom out. Yeah, okay. Thinking. Okay, hold up. Thoughts are being made. Thoughts are being made. I got you guys on this. Ooh. That's cool. But hold up, we're not done yet. We could pan it out a little bit more. Actually, no. Wait, we have to get orange. And then what if? Yes. Progress is being made. That's what we like to see. Hold up, we're testing the waters. Gotta make this look cool. Alright. Bear with me on this idea. We're cooking. Yeah, I've been spending most of my streams just kind of studying. Do we have something here? Hold up. Blur? Thoughts? Maybe? I have have to think about it more. Sorry, losing train of thought. I was like deep into trying to like figure out this design real quick. Yeah, I've just been studying faces, and then just streaming in general. This is pretty much the same thing. Can I like cut it right here? Is there any card specifically from Magic the Gathering that you're liking? This really sticks out. Hold up. Let me think about this. Because this feels like a huge cleaver. Let's see. You know, honestly, I like this better. Feels like instead of let's just do this. Yeah. Instead of just like a dainty little thin scythe, it's like a cleaver of a scythe. It's a very heavy weapon. Wait, thoughts? I like that she just has like the presence alone. However, though I don't mind it, let's think about this. You know what? I'm just gonna keep the idea simple because I feel like we're competing with too many things with the glowy scythe. So let's just keep it simple at this point. Oh, thanks, Noah. Appreciate it. Appreciate you stopping on by. Have a great day, man. You know what? Actually, I think we're gonna call it early today. Just get like an hour in. And then we'll be wrapping this character up tomorrow. I think I got everything I wanted to get done today. But yeah, appreciate everybody showing up. I know it was only an hour stream, but yeah, appreciate everybody showing up, and I hope you guys have a great day.